Amen. Good morning. We're going to start this morning. If can make our way in, we're going to ask Alex to start us. Pray for us, please. Ask God to help us as we begin this morning. Amen. Amen. Good morning. Welcome to Sunday school this morning. Good to have everybody here. The genius behind this class would be the anonymous questions. So we're studying the home. Next week, next Sunday, is the last study. And we're going to go over questions. There was a huge spike in questions this week. A lot, very good, great questions. You can learn a lot about people just by the questions that they ask, and it helps me to know where people are. Also, part of studying the home, marriage finances. We looked at child rearing last week. Can bring up a lot of emotion and a lot of questions, a lot of things that we're sorting through, especially with raising children. If you came from a broken home or you haven't seen it done correctly, it's all learning. We're establishing reference points with child rearing, and that was for last week. And so today, we'll get to some memory scriptures here in a minute. I want to make sure that I get through what I want to get through to today. We're going to talk about dating. Okay, so we have a theme going on that was unintended, and it was just it ended up being four principles of each one of these studies. And today we're going to look at these four things. And so let's start really quickly. Let's jump right into dating versus courting. We're going to call dating traditional. We're going to call courting church. Christian. We could call courting Christian dating. We could call dating traditional dating. Christian dating would be appropriate for courting, but I want to use the word courting for a reason, to draw a distinction between the two. Okay. I will approach this study this morning from an outsider's view of Christian dating. Why in the world? What would be the purpose? What's the difference? What's the big deal? Sometimes we in the church world, we're used to certain ways. We don't understand why we do what we do, and hopefully that will make sense this morning. So I'm going to approach it from an outsider's perspective, try and explain it in real common sense, total common sense. I just want to use common sense today. Just total common sense. Nothing too technical, okay? So common sense. Dating, traditional dating. Let's start with high school. Let's start with the fifth grade. Let's go to the fifth grade. I asked Stephanie, I forget her last name, will she go with me? I said, will you go with me? And so, the older parents say, well, where are you guys going? I don't know, I'm just going with her. Where are you going? Well, it came from going out, right? But fifth graders don't know what that is, right? So now, word gets out in fifth and sixth grade that so-and-so is going with somebody else. I guess you just talk alone at recess. I don't know. It's now it's kind of like the fifth grader owns another fifth grader, and you can't really talk to others. And so this is all traditional, right? So then maybe high school, now that you have a driver's license, you can actually go out on a date. And so now you're considered dating. Or who are you dating? And it's kind of like simulated marriage where it's an exclusive person. That would be traditional dating, right? You have an exclusive person that you're hanging out with, that you like. And then traditionally what happens is lines are crossed, okay? Emotional lines are crossed where they can say things like, I love you, which really means I lust you. I have no idea what love is. Love is a decision. Love is a sacrifice. But what they're feeling is a feeling of hormones, and they're confusing love with lust. Or they're confusing using someone for my emotional needs. You make me feel good. I like to be around you. There can be a genuine like, sure, but what happens is that now there starts to be some boundaries that are crossed and some bonds that are made there that make things very, very complicated, okay? So that would be traditional dating. And then you would ask somebody dating in high school, are you going to marry them? Well, no, I don't know. I don't care. I like messing around sexually. I like the emotional attachment. And if I get tired with you, I'll break up and we'll move on, right? It's just dating. It's just having fun. It's using someone for your benefit. That would be traditional dating. And I don't think, as we approach this from an outside perspective, I don't think that there are too many people that would argue with me with that statement. I really don't. I don't. You'll hear from time to time, hey, I married my high school sweetheart. That means it just so happened to work out. And it's good. That's fine. Great. You got married. You're not sinning anymore. You're good. Fine. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. It's a little bit of a gamble. More often than not, it doesn't. From a sinner's perspective, before I was saved, I used girls for me, for my purposes, okay, at their expense. And it was horrible. I feel horrible. I wish somebody would have had this class. I wish somebody would have explained it to me. I wish my father would have been around to show me how to do it right and fellowship in somebody to teach me right. And thus we have the home and church. Okay, so that's traditional dating. Agree, disagree? Want to add anything to that? Just in general, that's what traditional dating is, right? Okay. Now, I'll keep going. Okay, so courting. What is courting? Courting would be, we could use synonymously with Christian dating, okay? Courting looks like this. We go, two Christians that are saved, go on a date to see if they're compatible for marriage. Will one date work? Maybe yes, maybe no. Might need two. It's kind of like a really long interview before you take the job. Okay? Courting is, I'm going to just see if we're compatible without crossing emotional, physical boundaries to protect, and we'll talk about that in a minute, to protect the person from being hurt. Okay, I use a classic example. You go on a date, and we're going to talk about how to do this in a minute, and we'll talk about the chemistry at the bottom. If you could squint, you can see chemistry there. It's coming. But you go on the date, and you start talking openly, and you share, and it's in a public place. It's not alone, and it's not after 10, and there's a reason behind that. It's you don't cross boundaries. You don't say "I love you." None of that. You're not in love with that person yet. You don't even know what that is yet. Hey, I am called to be a missionary in the jungles of Africa. Okay, that's that is my burden. And then she would say, "Well, that's not mine at all. I don't even want to be a pastor's wife. I don't want to be a missionary." Well, now we have a decision to make. Are we compatible? Okay. What would happen if you cross lines emotionally? Your judgment could be skewed. You could make a decision that would affect your destiny because you're making a decision more emotionally, or because there's an emotional attachment. So he said, "Well, I don't care. She's so pretty. She's just hot, man. I'm going to have to marry her." And then all of a sudden, you're at a Bible conference. You've been married for a couple years, and the pastor's preaching on missions. Your heart's burning, and you can't go because she said no, right? So we want to prevent that way before. So courting kind of protects the calling as well, and vice versa for the girl. So Courting is you go out on a date and there's no touching. Well, why? Well, because that's traditional dating. There's no touching because if you don't marry her, that's someone else's wife. Right? You're holding hands with somebody else in the congregation's wife in the future, and you won't stay in the same congregation. It won't work. But if we don't cross bounds emotionally or physically, then after the date, we decide we're not compatible. Everybody goes, how was the date? Oh yeah, he's awesome. It's just not compatible for me. Then he can marry another girl in the church with no problem because there was no emotional bounds crossed. But if the emotional bounds were crossed, how can somebody else, it's awkward. You're not respecting other people, right? So common sense. It's just total common sense. Questions, dating versus courting. Yeah, go ahead.
No, with the courting portion,
Mm-hmm.
church, they're still.
Okay.
They go out one time.
No.
Because
Okay. So
you know somebody over.
it's a great question. Let me clarify something with courting. You do not court until you're ready to get married. So ready to be married could be emotionally ready, financially ready, spiritually ready. So really, I'm looking for the person to marry. I'm only allowed to go on that date, allowed loose terms, because we're not a cult. I didn't tell people what to do, but if you want to be blessed, you don't go on the date until you're ready. For the man, that would mean he has a job that he could support a family. He has a car to take her home from the honeymoon, right? And he has a place to live, not with his parents. And it's not recommended you live with anybody when you're first newly married. That's really awkward. I mean, that's very unromantic. It's really hard. And so you have to be ready. Now, so if they're ready emotionally, spiritually, and financially, then the more mature they are, the faster they're going to know if they're compatible or not. Also, Bernice, ideally, remember all this is ideal. The church is growing. There's youth activities. There's all kinds of things that are going on. Friendships have already grown. You can already observe that person for a while. Wow, there's some qualities in that guy that I really like because he's not a flirt. I mean, I see how he is with his pastor. That gives me comfort that this man's going to be under authority later, okay? Another reason why I wanted to do this class on courting is for you to understand where I go on the spectrum of strictness of dating, of courting in Christian dating. Christian dating, okay? I think the older that the couple is, there's more liberty that they could go alone. If it's two 18-year-olds filled with hormones, raging, the devil will exploit that. He wants to do anything he can to ruin your marriage before. He wants you to cross those lines so it ruins the whole plan. So you may need to, really public place, show up at the same time in different cars. Because, when you get in the car and there's feelings, those emotions are coming, it's just everything in you, the devil's tempting you, which is, it's normal. We're attracted to the other sex for a reason. So we procreate. But you don't want the fire to be outside of the fireplace. When the fire is lit in the fireplace, it is beautiful. When the fire is lit outside the fireplace, it burns everything down and hurts people. And we'll go to this in a second. So it's an organic, it's organic. Okay. Now what's not organic is we're going to conference and there's going to be guys and girls on the hunt. And I feel bad for you because it's a lot of pressure. At the end of the week, nothing happened. Feels like a failure. It's over till the next conference. It's brutal. It's brutal looking. We're going to talk about chemistry in a second, but just hold on. Long distance dating is a little bit harder, but it could be good in some sense because there's a lot more conversation on the phone. Wouldn't want to talk all night long. Some conversations go kind of crazy. That's why after 10 is a pretty good rule to stick by, okay? The other cool thing about courting is that ideally, the guy would come to the pastor and he would say, listen, I'm thinking about, we'll use the name Susie, I'm thinking about Susie, and I would say, just hold off on Susie for a little while. Now, because I have such a good relationship with my disciple, he trusts that I know something that he doesn't know, and that I'm going to respect her and her time. Hey, right now, not, maybe a little bit later for her. And he would go, cool, that's awesome. It's because it's a good relationship, and we're protecting. If she came to me and says, hey, you know what, I was checking out, I can't find a name. We have such a big church now. Who? Bob. Yeah, I was checking out Bob the other day, and I would say, now, hey, just hang on for a little bit longer, and she'd say, cool, I trust you. Like a father would trust. See, back in the Bible days, there were prearranged marriages. Isaac found his, actually, it was set up with Rebekah, and it was a great marriage. It was set up because the parents know better. But it's not me know better, it's the father knows better. The father, not the father. Okay? My job would be hear from the father to advise you. I don't tell who to date. I don't tell what to date. This is. I'm not controlling. But hey, I want to protect you. I want to be blessed. I would treat you like my daughter or my son. Okay, so that's how courting verse that works. So, very interesting thing happened this week. No, 2 weeks ago. Maybe even less. I don't even know. My wife's good friend from childhood, her daughter started traditionally dating. Okay, the traditional dating, outside of church dating. And man, she fell hard for this kid. And my wife was asking, does he go to church? Well, he believes in God. I'm like, he believes in God. That was it. And I could see where this was going. Fell hard for him. I mean, they're always together. Always together. And I was just hearing the conversations, watching things go by over the last 6 months or so. Then all of a sudden, I heard the phone call that he broke up with her out of nowhere. No signs, no nothing. She went into major heartbreak depression. And any girl that's gone through traditional dating knows that feeling of heartbreak. She was devastated. I don't make light of this. I'm using her as an example because I do feel bad for her. I don't wish that upon anybody. I wouldn't say, oh, I told you so. That's what you get for dating. No, I would never do that. That's dumb because she's feeling the heartache. It's too bad she didn't have guidance to protect her heart. Anybody that's ever experienced a broken heart knows it hurts really, really bad. It can scar you emotionally. It can make you bitter towards God, towards men. If a woman is, a lot of lesbians are lesbians because they've been hurt by men so many times that their heart just gets so hard. And isn't it interesting that in a lesbian relationship, in general, not all, one's the girl and one's the guy. She wants a guy, but with feminine characteristics that are sensitive to her. She wants the best of both worlds because she's been hurt by a man so bad. Well, a girl's not going to hurt me that bad, but I'm going to get one that's kind of masculine because I want a man. She's confused because of traditional dating. Most men, I put percentages on too many things. 95% of men, they only want sex. It's all they want. And so they're not really respecting her and her heart. They're just using her. So he says, I love you to get sex. Okay? She, gives the sex to feel loved. It's a vicious circle. It's vicious. It's horrible. It's a horrible way, and the devil just has a field day with it. Well, my wife's friend's daughter has a broken heart because of this very issue, okay? And we're trying to prevent that. That's all. Is that fair? Who listening to this on live stream could argue with that? We just want to protect you. In fact, the church should be a refuge. The church should be a place that looks out for you and tries to help you and helps you think straight when you're not thinking straight. Okay? Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about discipleship for a second because this is huge, huge in this dating process, okay? I mentioned before you go on a date, you would be observing. Let's look through the eyes of a woman for a moment, a young woman looking for a husband. Let's look through her eyes for a second. What is she looking for? What qualities? Ladies, what qualities are you looking for in a man? Think about a single girl that wants to, faithful. He's not going to cheat on me. He's not going to cheat on me. Would you all agree? I mean, that would be like really high on my list if I were a woman, and especially me knowing what men are like and all the pornography that they've been involved in and all the girl relationships before. I just want to know, is he going to be faithful to me? Is he going to be monogamous? Okay. What other qualities? Yes. Responsible. He's going to pay the bills. He's going to be responsible with his words. He's going to be a man of his word. He's going to be responsible. Yes. Was it hardworking? Yeah, totally. And we'll mention that this morning in my sermon. But hardworking. Going to provide. So look at that. Faithfulness, protector, provider. What else? What are you looking for? Kind. Just be nice. Kind. Be nicer to me than you are all other women. Yes. Okay. Responsible, hardworking, awesome. We'll talk about that in a second. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Somebody that can be corrected. Now, all married women here know the desperate feeling when their husband is kind of acting crazy and you can't get through to him. Your hope, the lifeline is maybe pastor can get through to him, right? But what if pastor could get through to him before you got married? How much better would that be? So discipleship is the process of making a good husband prior. I've preached it so many times that it kind of feels stale, but showing up on time, dressing nice, right? Dressing nice, showing respect for God's house, that this is a different type of place, being a man of your word. And there's another really, really big one. It's a huge one. Don't miss this. So we said dating was selfish, right? Discipleship is loving others. So when a visitor walks in, do you notice? You're being trained to pay attention to other people. It's a culture. I told this story so many times. I'm going to tell it again because of reference points. This was back when you paid for gasoline in the convenience store, not at the pump. Yeah, I paid for gas. Did I go? I went in first to pay. I can't remember, but I went in. Allison was in the car. I went into the convenience store to go pay for the gas, and I went to the refrigerator and I grabbed a drink. Paid for the gas, paid for the drink. And as I walked out of the door, it all went into slow motion, just like a movie. I opened the door with a drink in my hand, and I only had one drink. And I see my wife, and I went like this, and I turned around back in and got two. Right? Well, I mean, we're learning not to be selfish as a disciple. Like, dude, wake up, up on time, be responsible. Why do you keep losing your job? Why? A boss is a great disciple maker. You know, are you excelling in your job? These are all qualities and characteristics that a woman is looking for, okay? I've said it once, I said it twice, I'm going to say it 1,000 more times. Single ladies, I'm your best friend. I'm your best friend. In the fact that I'm trying to help you find a man of God. Okay? We have a problem. We are lacking men of God. Okay? And it alarms me and it worries me. And this is not where this Sunday school is going to. It was at Prescott Conference years ago. I mean, there are a slew of young single girls. And just guys like this. what's happening? So I have dedicated my life to making men of God ready and able for young ladies. Yes. You had your hand up. Sure. Totally. Is he prayer? Is he ministry? Is he rising up? Is he responsible? We're not looking for perfect men. I don't want to hold it too high because I was a mess when I was 19. I just happened to get married and work it out while I was married. So it was very troubling times. I'm not saying perfect. I'm just saying just be a disciple. Just be a man. Be a disciple, right? I think if we keep lowering the standard and not expecting it, that's what's going to happen. So I want to keep the standard high. Okay? All right? So we're trying to make disciples. Now, let's look through the young man's point of view. Okay? What is a man looking for in a woman? What a young single man, when he's now looking for a girl, what qualities is he looking for? And let's put it on the women for a minute. Let's swing the pendulum. Joseph? Approachable. Yeah, not stuck up. Yes, Alex? But there are times when a woman will purposely not send vibes because she has better radar than he does. Okay? And that is a no. That is a no, and she's wise to do that. Okay? Oh, I feel so bad. He wants to talk to me. I just feel so bad, so I'm going to talk to him. You're going to lead him on. Being friends, and it's all about vibes. Okay? But being approachable is part of being nice, but I wanted to clarify that as well. Yes, Alex? Okay? Explain, not on the defense. Okay. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Let's keep moving. I got you. Yes. Self-esteem. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm a guy, single guy, girl. I want a woman that knows who she is in God. She's confident in herself in God, without being stuck up. Right? That's wow. High standards. Yes. All the guys. Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. All right. That is a concern of being too engrossed in Instagram. We'll just pick on Instagram because it's an easy target. Comparing, always on the phone. Man, not a lot of depth. So anyway. Yeah. Somebody who likes to learn. Sure. Alex, you want to redeem yourself? Yeah. Serve. Yeah, man, that. I mean, if there's anything that is super attractive about my wife, is she just serves and just loves people. I'm telling you, she just serves, and it's a really cool characteristic. Serving. Yeah. Keep on. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what happens is, a woman can use the outward to draw the eyes of a man. Now, cardinals. You know what a cardinal is? It's reverse in the cardinal world. The boy bird's pretty and the girl bird's ugly, right? But he's pretty and shiny to attract her. So is that wrong? Hello? Is it wrong to want to look pretty and want to attract a man? Please no. Please no. I mean, wait, we're not I could name a denomination. It's not an ugly contest when you come to church. Hey, but there's this fine line of modesty. Because what happens is she could start to use looks as her identity, and that's an outward. That's false. So there is modesty. My wife is extremely modest and extremely beautiful. So right, you can be both. You can be elegant and not use your clothing to try to draw the eyes of men. Okay, yes? Okay, somebody spiritual. Yeah, that would help. That helps big time, right? My wife and I, we sit down and we talk about, we go back and forth. She likes to argue, like, why do you think that? Where are you going with that? Why, and we have good conversations to really sharpen each other. And she helps me so much see things that I don't see. I tend to be very, very black and white. And she brings me into the gray areas. Hey, not everything is like that. Do you forget when you were a teenager? Do you forget when you were a horrible disciple the first few years? Right? So relax, chill out, right? That kind of balance that she brings would be something we'd look for prior as well. Yes, Joseph? That helps big time. Women that come from broken homes are set back a little bit. Yeah, it stinks. It's horrible. Just also with the guys, how the young man treats his mom and his sister is big. It's really big. How he treats his mom especially. Okay, but there's Roman. Yeah, serve it. But Proverbs 31. Proverbs 31, right? Rises early in the morning, calls her husband Lord. No, that's not. Is that so? Anyway, yeah. So all those characteristics are very important. All we're doing right here, we're not setting the standard, but so much setting the rules. But these are just things that we're just looking out for, things that we hear. Marriage sermons for single people are just as valid for the single people as are for the married people, because they're learning about what to avoid, pitfalls, what to avoid, and what to deal with, okay? So discipleship is a huge, huge part of this, okay? So in discipleship, for even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life a ransom for many. So that's what's happening when you're a Christian. Preached a sermon not long ago, 80% of all marriage problems are solved just by being saved. 80%, I believe that with all my heart. You learn to forgive. You learn to let things go. You learn to serve, meet the needs of other people. Really, for all the skeptics, Christianity, discipleship, Bible training is the answer to marriage. So if you want to find your spouse outside of that, you're increasing your odds of failure astronomically if you're not going to find him within the church, because just by these common sense items, it's the way it is. Chemistry before coffee. Chemistry. This is very, very tricky. Let me go to my notes. I wrote, it's a mystery. Chemistry is a mystery. Because there can be love at first sight, but there can also be a gradual growing to love that person. Okay? I remember in high school, Heather Zoller, she came from Texas, mid-high school, maybe sophomore year of high school. And she wasn't a knockout, gorgeous girl. You were like, wow, but for in Ohio to have a Texan come in, everybody wants to, like, wow, Texan. Anyway. We ain't seen no Texans in Ohio very often, and a new girl, and she's got like the southern drawl, and she's bubbly and nice. But what was interesting is she rose to be the most popular girl in the school. But she wasn't a drop-dead, gorgeous, model look. And I noticed this in high school. I was like, man, there's something so attractive about her, and it's not her looks necessarily. It was her personality. It was her confidence that she had in herself. And everybody wanted to date Heather Zoller. But no one could, because she knew who she was. And it was like even made her more attractive. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's weird. And my point is, there's a lot more to chemistry than just, wow, she's hot. Wow, he's hot. Wow, he's got money. There's a getting to know each other. Okay, so can it be chemistry right away? Sure, could be. But could it also be that as you become friends, as you're around each other, there's a mutual growth? That's why conference is brutal, man. I mean, you're going to try to create chemistry right away. I don't know. And then I'll tell you this. Girls can be wicked nasty. Wicked catfight nasty. You're threatening my territory, and I'm going to scratch your eyeballs out, and I'm going to tear you down. So, I mean, it's a brutal world. That's why we're Christians. That's why it's supposed to work. Yes? Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like they just
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's like you're waiting
Okay, yeah.
for them to approach.
Good. This definitely falls under chemistry. What's your question?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
what is your thoughts on a woman?
Yeah.
Or how do you
Yeah.
wait on the sidelines for years?
All the girls are saying, what, am I supposed to initiate this thing? Yeah. Every one of the girls would say this, and I would say, no, and I feel your pain. That's what I would say. No, don't initiate. But it doesn't mean you can't be friendly, say hi. I think it's natural. I think her asking him out sets a bad premise for the future. This is why when you get married, you go to the guy's church. Okay? She doesn't pull him from his church. There's just this natural, he needs to be a man. He needs to man up. What is happening is we're in a digital generation where, in general, boys are becoming recluse. They're becoming recluse. They're more confident behind a screen than they are in person. They're losing interpersonal skills. Okay, they're learning. They're losing it, and we got to rescue this generation. That's what I'm doing every Sunday. Trying to rescue this generation. Okay, so chemistry. This is very important. Glad I looked at my notes. Is there such thing as a soulmate? Okay, no. Your soulmate is the one you're married to. So remember that, file that. Because what happens is, you get married. This isn't a marriage class, but this pertains to dating. Okay, you get married and you start to fight. If the thought that there is a soulmate out there, the devil will use that and draw you to go back to Facebook, look up old flings, call somebody. Something's going to happen. You're going to see him at Walmart. Or you're like, oh, how are you? You're married? Oh. How's it going? Yeah, I mean, it's all right. Boom, done. First step. First gone. Psh, right? So there is no such thing as a soulmate, meaning this, single people. There's that one person in the 8 billion people on this earth for me. That's too much pressure. That's wrong. That's bad theology. Okay? Your soulmate is the one that you marry and you have sex with for the first time and you are bonded forever. That's your soulmate. Okay? So it's there's just that one person, and if we don't cross paths, it's over. No, it can happen. The ram can be in the thicket. I preached on God providing, come out of nowhere. You're like, where in the world? I didn't see that one coming. I read a story of a single guy that decided to be a missionary in Lithuania. This is a true story. I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to preach on it later. He went to be a missionary as a single kid, single young man in Lithuania. He's like, I don't know who I'm going to marry. I'm going to marry a woman that wants to be a missionary. I'm already in Lithuania. It just so happened that his parents were friends with somebody else in the church, and they didn't know each other. She was praying to be a missionary in Lithuania. I mean, you cannot make this up in any even book, any fiction book. And we were just talking. Letters, got married. She moved to Lithuania, happily ever after. I mean, I don't know. You got to trust God. If you're like Sarah and you're going to take this in your own hands, you could possibly produce an Ishmael. You don't do that. Wait on God. He promised. Wait on Him. Trust Him. Okay? Yes. Okay, it's a great question. So this pertains to chemistry as well, and it circles back. So you go on that first date, and you're like, the girl's like, I like this guy. I like him a lot. And you can almost feel the chemistry right away. Would I recommend going on many more dates to make sure? Yes, of course. It's a long interview. Okay? Then now the relationship changes in church a little bit. Now you're paying attention a little bit more. Now you're seeing if there's butterflies, and you're seeing if there's a little bit more chemistry, and if it's working in that direction. The answer is there's no set time, but it's not over a year. It's 3 months. It's 4 months. Why not, right? Let's think common sense. Why do you want to drag it out for 6 to 8 months? To use that person for you and have fun? Yes, there's an element of fun, but that means you're really reserving this person. That wouldn't be fair to them if there's a slight chance it's not going to work. What I don't want is, in the future, when our church is 100, 200, 300 people, they go on a date. Oh, you're getting married, girl. No, stop that. That's why this is established right now. Remember this Sunday school. Leave them alone. They went on a date. That's so cool. Did it work out? I want to create that culture to where there's not so much pressure. Oh, you're talking to somebody? Because now it's talking. Then it's date. And then you got to go in these progressions because they don't want to feel committed to this person right away. Give them the space to date where it's not going to feel pressure, right? So that you can back off. So around 3 or 4 months, you should know. Then if he's already ready, because he has the car job, he's emotionally ready, spiritually ready, he's got the car job and a house, he's got a place to live, now he can ask her to marry him. When he asks her to marry him, when he asks her to marry him, okay, then they come up with, he has a ring and a date to get married. So it's not this eternal fiancé thing. That just opens you up to demonic temptation. This is my eternal fiancé. No, we are getting married on May, on this date. Then you enter into premarital counseling. Then, and it's all a secret. It's a secret society, premarital counseling, so you'll just have to find out. And but we meet 2 times, generally 2. Sometimes it can be 3. And we have premarital counseling prior to getting married. And it can be called off if there's certain red flags that come up from that point. But the point of premarital counseling is conversation, bringing things up. So what do you guys talk about? Like for hours now. It's beyond me, but I got to remember. But we give you things to talk about. Okay? So good question, Joe.
In regards to discipleship, if we wanted to help a brother or sister in church,
Yeah.
or should we trust God, could we help them do a background check on the person?
Absolutely. 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 Background checks are necessary. Because dudes can be really deceiving sometimes. They can hide a lot of things in their past and stuff like that. So really glad we got to do this study. I'm glad that you got to know me, my thoughts on how it goes in the process. And just be really locked into God through this whole process, and He'll protect you. Okay? Amen? Okay, God bless you. We'll have coffee. Start church at 10:30.